I knew it. I knew I was on. So this is our Friendship Sunday. This is a new custom of ours on the fifth Sunday to welcome people back after a long time, and I see several of you. I'm so happy to see you. And then brand new people. So if you have a rose, would you just kind of wave it in the air, and let's welcome our guests. Oh, it's so great to have you. Now, if this is your first time, keep your hand up in the air, and you're going to get a packet of information about us. We're very, very happy to have you. And I hope that you stay for coffee afterwards and let me give you a hug or a handshake. I would love to meet you. So you are here at the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, and we have a mission and a vision for our community that I'd just like to share with you. We do this every week, but this is especially for those of you who are here for the first time. Our vision is awakening personal transformation, and what we know is that it's one heart at a time, one person at a time, that awakens to the art of peace, like we just sang, one at a time. And we have tools for positive change. That's the mission, teaching tools for positive change. Those are spiritual skills that I try to give something every single Sunday that you can use, not on Monday morning, but at coffee afterwards, that you can actually use to support and promote the transformation. So this particular month, we have come up with a little saying, and I wonder if you can finish it for me, you all. You've heard it enough. The world is changing, and there you go. The world is changing, and I am on the transition team. So that's a big responsibility, and it's also pretty exciting right now. So we also have a vision of our whole denomination for this year, and that is creating a world that works for everyone. This is the universal theme in Centers for Spiritual Living around the world. So there's many thousands of people that are working on this specifically from our philosophy, but of course every spiritual house on Sunday or midweek or Saturday, whenever the Sabbath is, I believe, working on the same thing. We also have a monthly theme. We're finishing up this theme this month, loving kindness and forgiveness. Is that the sweet, sweet babies there? So I'd like to draw your attention at this point to this wonderful altar with that pink color of loving kindness. This is a Marsha Dawson altar, so thank you. Yep, pretty fabulous. So on Friendship Sunday here, we're finishing up this month of the theme of loving kindness and forgiveness. And this week, the title of the talk is Using Loving Kindness and Forgiveness to Build Community. So the tools that I'm going to talk about today are tools especially for you to use in every group of which you are a part. So you are a group, if you work, you're in a group there probably. If you have a family, you're part of that group. You have a neighborhood, perhaps a political party, perhaps a spiritual center, many, many groups that we are a part of. And when we are a beacon of light in each group in which we participate, we change the atmosphere of the whole group. It's like the constellation that we're a part of with the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets. We're all held together by this gravitational field, and if something happened to one of these heavenly bodies, everybody else would have to shift around. That's exactly what happens when one person in a family heals. It's like everybody is held together by these strange agreements. And then when somebody says, I'm not working by those agreements anymore, I'm going to work from love, then everybody has to jiggle around and adjust. And if we're going to have a world that that works for everybody, lots and lots and lots of individuals in lots and lots of groups have to kind of shake up the constellation. So in our movement, the Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a a document that is what we believe. This is our philosophy of our spiritual philosophy. And on the other side, it's the Global Heart Vision. And this is a handout that is at the back of the room if you would want it. The quote from this week is taken from the Global Heart Vision, and this is it. We see our communities as being open, receptive, and welcoming of all people, all faiths, and all paths to God. I absolutely love this picture by Norman Rockwell. It says so much that people in prayer are the same. They are praying the same. So what we know is that the pure teachings of every single religion are pretty much the same, and that loving kindness and forgiveness are at the center of all of these teachings, being very universal. And if we would create a world that works for everyone, we're all just going to surrender into loving kindness and forgiveness. You know, that's the way it's going to be. If we have a world that works for everyone, not one of us is going to be able to say, well, I've maintained, you know, a hardened heart against, you know, that group. But otherwise, I'm filled with loving kindness and forgiveness. No, it's got to go all the way in. So I thought we'd begin with and go through pretty quickly these truths that we all can agree on. Because no matter what your spiritual background, no matter where you were raised, or if you were unchurched and didn't have any church, whatever, these are statements that I think we can all kind of stand on and agree on that for in a world that works for everyone, these are the operative statements. The first is a quote from our founder, Ernest Holmes, and that is, "The universe rests on the shoulder of love." And so that's kind of, you know, a nice symbol, of course, but it means that the source, the foundation, the ground of being, the thing at the center of all creation is love. And that's echoed in other religions. In Judaism, here's a saying from Judaism, "Love is the beginning and the end of the Torah." In Sufism, I love this one, "Sane and insane, all are searching lovelorn for him. In mosque, temple, church alike, for only God is the one God of love. And love calls from all these, each one, to home." So I hope we can agree on that. If you can't, I would love to have a conversation with you. The next is kind of a general statement about what we call consciousness, which is you have to be what it is you want. You have to come from the place of what you want. You can't remain unchanged and expect your experience of life to change. So if you want a friend, if you want in this group that you're wanting to heal, if you want people to love you, then that means that you come from love, that you are the friend that you want to have, because we can't attract something that we aren't already. And that's kind of, you know, you wish that would happen. You wish it would happen, that I would love the life to change. I want to remain exactly the same, but I want everybody else to be nicer to me out there. And, you know, that doesn't happen. And then the third one that I want to talk about very briefly is hold your heart open and include everyone. You know, either we have our heart open or not. It's like if we're closed down to one thing, our heart's closed. And so it's one of those either or thing. It's one of those gotcha things. Once you hear this, you know that the work is to hold your heart open all the time. And the other wisdom traditions hold that as true as well. From Buddhism, full of love for all things in the world, practicing virtue in order to benefit others, this man alone is happy. And from Shintoism, regard heaven as your father, earth as your mother, and all things as your brothers and sisters. So, you know, I could kind of end right here because that's wisdom, and if we take it away, you know, great. And this is fine, you know, if I'm in my happy place and you're in your happy place, then we're friends and it's all love and our hearts are open. But what about some of these things that we're going to talk about now? You know, I don't end with the simple things. First of all, this is what came to me as I was writing this talk. Personality traits that we do not care for. Me, I have a great deal of trouble with anger, bullying, dishonesty, self-centeredness. I find it very difficult to hold my heart open when I am in the presence of someone who has these personality traits. Now, is it my job to change or their job to change? Thank you. Yes, the lesson is, if I want to be the friend that I want, and if I know that keeping my heart open is the key to world peace, then I cannot say, you've got to change your ways before I embrace you. This is what gets hard. I told you, when you are in your happy place and I'm in my happy place, we're friends. But if you exhibit a personality trait that triggers me, then I have a spiritual lesson in front of me. How many of us have had spiritual lessons these last 2 weeks? Okay, good. Me too. Dave lifted up both hands. One for 1 week, one for the other week. Okay. Okay, moving right along. Behavior I do not like. This was all over the television. Yelling, fear-mongering, saying one thing and doing another. Oh, I don't like it. And, it's easy. It's easy to look at the political conventions and see behavior you don't like, but there's stuff here in our precious community that hurts my heart, and I bet hurts your heart too, and I bet I do some of it. So when we treat each other like strangers, that hurts my heart. When we focus on somebody's mistakes and the unskilled places that they have, instead of focusing on their magnificence, that doesn't lead to world peace. And then for us in the office, we tend to feel like everybody's special worker person. Because, everybody has great ideas and it lands in the office. So, but let me just say that I know also that I exhibit behavior that some of you don't like. It hurts my heart to realize this, but we had a core council meeting this week and somebody said to me, Karyl, when you turn away from people after service, it hurts their feelings. And so I'm sorry if I ever did that to you. So, behavior. Moving right along. This is hopefully going to be a funny one. Values. Now, values aren't funny, but values that others hold that we do not hold. So I was trying to think of a value that I hold that other people don't, and I couldn't. So I went on, because they all came up as lovely values. I couldn't imagine anyone not having them. So I went online to the list of values, and there's hundreds of values. And I'm telling you, I went through all the A values and all the B values, and I liked them all. And then I was in C, and I did find one, and it's chastity. So chastity is defined as sexual abstinence. I don't care if you are having sex or not. It's not a value I hold. I just hope that you're not harming somebody and that you're having a good time. That's what I hope. But that is a value that is like, I don't care. So if you hold that value, great. Other C's that I found that I don't particularly like are conformity and control. So, but it's the basis for so much strife between people. And it's just that you place somebody else places a greater importance on something than you do. And that's all it is. Finally, this is the big one, and that is, well, they're all big, but past experience in each one of us that promotes separation, fear, and comparison. So these are the places in us that are our unskilled places, the places where we have already been hurt. These are our buttons. And when someone out there pushes our buttons, unless we've done a lot of work, we are in the reactive mode, and we pull up defensiveness or aggressiveness or something like that. And this is really the biggest thing that keeps us in pain and separates us from true joy and connection. This is what we go to therapy for. This is what we see practitioners for. It's when we feel separate, really separate from each other, and we can't find the happy place. So when we're here in any of these, experiencing the differences in personality, behavior, values, or our memories, and we have a choice. We can stay in that place and go through it and heal it, or we can bolt. We can separate, we can not care, we can increase the distance. And imagine a country if only the differences were emphasized. That is not a world that works for everyone. So we can choose another path, and that's what the lesson is really about, is when you're in your happy place and the other person is in their happy place, no problem. When you're in anything like this, there is a problem. And there is a way through the problem. And it is, according to our wonderful founder, Ernest Holmes, has the answer. Before I show you the answer, I want you to know that I am working on this. This is not easy, but it's the only way. It's really the only way. So here is what Ernest Holmes says. The thing to do is not to try to unify with people, but with the principle of life behind all people and things. That is what we go for. So, a few things under this that will give you some tools. And the first one is the chant. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That's the life in everybody. So I want to tell you a story about how this chant came into this denomination. It was several years ago at Asilomar. And Edward Viljoen, who is the minister up in Santa Rosa, had been to Tibet with a friend. And he was in a cave with a monk in Tibet. And the Tibetan monk was saying, "What is the philosophy of your religion?" And because they were talking about how important, spiritual practice was. And so Edward and his friend, this is an experienced minister. If a Tibetan monk asked me, I'm glad I have this chant that I could say. But so Edward was saying, well, there's only one life. That life is God's life. And then he looked at his friend, and his friend said, and that life is perfect. And then Edward said, and that life is my life now. And the monk said, beautiful. Chant that 108 times, the number of the beads on a Tibetan mala. And so, on the stage of Asilomar, with his mala beads, Edward and 400 other people chanted this 108 times. It took up most of the time of his speech, but I'm telling you, it changed the atmosphere. So let's you and I do it 5 times. Okay. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Well, that's something you could do if you came across someone with different values. Affirm that that one life is shared by the two of you. The next to think about is conditions of expression are only that. So personality traits, behavior, values, unskilled parts, they're just conditions. and they do not impact the principle of life, which is God at the center of every person. During this election cycle, and I am sure for the next 100 days it will be the same, I have talked to many practitioners and ministers who say, oh, my spiritual practice is so to see God in the person I'm not going to vote for. No matter who it is. That is the spiritual practice. That's where we go if we are truly spiritual seekers. And honestly, truth be told, why would good-hearted people who want to create a world that works for everyone, why would we remove our prayer from someone that we heartily disagree with? Why would we do that? The next is rely on the compassion practice. The compassion practice that I really, really like is, it starts out just like me. So here you have a person in front of you that has behavior that is abhorrent to you, and you say, just like me, this person wants a certain level of control in their life. Just like me, this person wants a better world for their children. Just like me, this person wants a good night's sleep at night. So the other thing we've already saying today is there is only one of us. We're the same. We're really the same. Next is loving kindness and forgiveness work miracles. These are the themes for July, loving kindness and forgiveness, and that is keeping your heart open and letting go of the past. That's it. Keep your heart open, let go of the past, even a minute ago. Even if you didn't like something that I said already in this talk and you've got your back up, forgive me. Forgive me. It's in the past. And it doesn't mean that you have to buddy up with people who are asleep to these things. You simply know on their behalf the truth of their being. Do you get that? You know, you don't have to marry them. You know, you just know that they are an expression of God on their path, and you're on your path, and you recognize that they're an expression of God. And lastly, the reminder is the universe rests on the shoulders of love. Love is the answer to everything. It is the most creative, connecting, delighting, precious, and adorable quality to nurture. And I actually have two stories to end this with. The first one is about this gal, this precious Kendra Powell. These are my Facebook offerings for you today. So this is what Kendra posted. So, on the way to work this morning, I noticed a state trooper on the side of the road with his trunk up. I felt compelled, even with everything going on in the media, to stop and make sure he was okay. I never saw him, just the car. So I creeped past at a snail's pace and turned around. I pulled up to the car and cracked my window, hands clearly visible. I saw a white trooper come from the side of the car. I said, "Good morning," and asked if he was okay and needed help. He smiled a brilliant smile and replied, "No, ma'am," that he was cleaning his windows. He showed me the bottle and the towels to me and told me that he had the good stuff. He chuckled and asked if I minded if he cleaned mine too. I told him I was okay, but he insisted. Highlight of my day, state trooper cleaning my windows with the good Rain X cleaner. Every passerby had a stunned expression on their faces. Then an elderly white couple stopped by and asked if they could have theirs done also. So he cleaned theirs too. The lady offered to pay him, and he said, "No, just say a prayer for me." So we did. Right along 46 in the wee hours of the morning, parked beside the road for everyone to see, we all linked hands and had a prayer. White hands, black hands, officer hands, young hands, and old hands gave glory like never before. I was late for work, but it was truly worth it. Couldn't ask for a better way to start my day. So I'm going to change, so you're not going to read the next one while I'm reading to you. I'm going to change it when I want to change it here. This is the next story, the last story. Earlier this week, as I headed for the frozen section at Trader Joe's, honing in on a specific item, I saw a brown envelope laying smack dab on top of my edamame. "Open me," it said. I picked it up and turned it over. "Yes, you," it said. Oh, goody. Trader Joe's is hiding envelopes around the store with secret $5 coupons inside. But no. Instead, I found a folded up piece of paper, handwritten, not copied, in different colored crayon, which you can read right here. "I bet you forgot that you're here for a reason. Your unique light is needed now. Your heart isn't lying to you. Move forward for you, and I'll support your every move with love, the universe." It was a classic candid camera moment with me looking around to see who was watching me. Did someone leave this just for me? Was it a friend who saw me in the store, an employee? Was there a camera? But I was the only one in that aisle. Pretty unusual for busy Trader Joe's. Needless to say, I loved finding this note on top of the one thing I was buying from the freezer that day, and I needed that message too. Which has me wondering how I can pay it forward by leaving anonymous little notes for a stranger to find. Just the thought makes my heart feel good. The reality of this story is that we're all farmers who sow seeds. Seeds we may never see sprouting, but we sow them nonetheless, like it or not. I love the thought of being a farmer who sows inspiring, good, fun, helpful, delightful seeds for others to find. How about you? So Suzanne Karch sent me that, so that's from Suzanne and I. So in conclusion, I have a challenge for you to be creative and spread some love in the groups in which you already are a part of, and contribute to a world that works for all, spreading loving kindness and forgiveness, and maybe talk about this talk about it, share about it, tell stories on people who have done a loving deed. And I mean, just in connecting and telling the stories of love, we increase it. So the spiritual principles that we've worked with today are: the universe, there it is supported and sourced by love. And there is only one life, God's life. And the spiritual practice, you've had many today, and I saw some of you writing notes and taking pictures on your phone. Good job. If there's only one thing you remember from today, it's hold your heart open. So let's go within for that wonderful sense of closure and application of what we've talked about today. And I feel most hearts already open right now. But if you would, let your awareness go to that wonderful physical organ inside that is always working on your behalf. And let that warmth from your physical heart move throughout your body and out into the space around you. And in this moment, let a person come to mind that's a part of a group that you belong to. And this person is in that second category. They're not always in their happy place and you're in your happy place together. There's something, a value, a behavior, a personality trait, or maybe a fear inside you that makes you want to close your heart, and don't do it. When you feel that physical feeling of just take a slow breath and say, open, 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 open. And then let that person sit in your open heart and contemplating this Oh, this beloved that also has fears and unhealed places. You begin. Just like me, this person has unhealed places. Just like me, sometimes this person is reactive. Just like me, for this person, love feels better than fear. Just like me, this person has people in their life that they are absolutely crazy about. Just like me, this person and me can choose to stay in our open hearts and in love. And one person at a time, we will create a world that works for all. And so it is.